Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm your host, Mythical Malice. We've got a special stream for today. We're going to be doing a Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom discussion, expectations, things we're looking forward to, things that we hope change from Breath of the Wild, podcast style thing. And we got a special guest today, FehrFactor. Say hello.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Always good to be back in stream. It's your boy, the Laugh Track.
It's your boy, the Laugh Track. I love it. Oh, that's good. That's his socials. That's his social handle. Go find him on Twitter. Go find him on Twitch. It's your boy, the Laugh Track. But yeah, we're just gonna go through and we're gonna talk about things that from Breath of the Wild. Probably watch through some of the trailers again, some of the recent ones. Actually, I have all of the trailers pulled up, every single one, including the original announcement trailer from 2019. I have the E3 2021 preview trailer, and then I have the 3 official trailers that have all come out within the last year, including the one that came out 2 weeks ago now, 1 week ago, and then the 10-minute gameplay demo that came out about a month ago now. So
we are ready to go.
I got them all pulled up. All right. How much did you see of my Breath of the Wild playthrough?
I think I watched, I'm going to say at least like 70% of your Breath of the Wild stream, if not more.
Okay.
There was I think a couple temples I missed, but I saw you beat the final boss, and I saw like a lot of everything leading up to it. You know, the one stream that really stuck with me from your Breath of the Wild playthrough was you were like up on a hilltop fighting some lion creature, and it was just not going well.
Oh yeah, the Lionel. I'm gonna guess that it was probably the first Lionel that you have to fight in the game. So the first one that is technically recommended to you is the Zora Divine Beast. Va Rudania, I believe, is what that one is called. That one, part of the side quest, one of the Zora in the town, it's Prince Sidon. He's like, hey, before we go fight or go investigate Va Rudania, you need to go collect electric arrows. We need them. And Zora can't touch electric things. It kills them, which kind of makes sense because they're water-based creatures, So if you know your Pokemon vulnerability table, that's how that works.
That is how that works.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, you need to go get some electric arrows. There's a very scary creature up on top of this mountain nearby, but we can't go get it because he'll kill us. And so you go there and do it instead. Well, yeah, it went very poorly for me. I think it took me like 4 or 5 attempts at least. It was bad.
Dude, that guy was tough. He was not messing around.
No, and I still had not even to this day, I'm bad at parrying in Breath of the Wild. I'm even worse with the Lionels. So going up the first thing that you can't just stun lock, essentially, it did not go well.
I mean, name a game that has parrying in it, and I'm bad at it. So I hear you.
It's true. Even Elden Ring, I couldn't. I never got a hold of parrying or hang of parrying.
Me either.
Tears of the Kingdom, though. So you did watch vast majority of my Breath of the Wild playthrough. What are your thoughts on weapon durability? Because it is coming back. It is in Tears of the Kingdom.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna let you give your opinion before I say anything.
So I think I'm just gonna speak on I'm durability in general. It's definitely a choice. I'm gonna say it's not one that I prefer in my games. Okay. I'm all for weapon upgrades and things like that, and weapon progressions. So you find something at the start of the game, it's not as good as whatever you get late game, stuff like that.
Okay.
But for me personally, I think Skyrim is a good open world game example of this. Maybe if you find a steel sword, you can use that same steel sword throughout the whole game, but it's not going to be any better than any other steel sword that you find.
Yeah.
And I just prefer having one less thing to think about there in terms of weapon durability, and that's kind of my thoughts on it.
I'm of 2 minds about weapon durability. I think that for Breath of the Wild specifically, I feel like it was a good game design decision. Okay. My biggest complaint with its implementation, though, is that I felt like the weapons broke too easily. And then what ended up happening is the players ended up treating it as like an RPG, or you know, any other game that has like a lot of consumable items where players just hoard things because like, I might need this someday.
Totally.
And which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, except well, it kind of is a bad thing. I don't like that kind of model where you're like, oh, I might need this, so I'm gonna not use it kind of thing. That it's just kind of like a constant stressor while you're playing a game. With that in mind,
yeah, if I can jump in for a second, yeah. I totally agree with that point there. I think that was really well said. I don't like a game giving me the feeling of getting a new cool weapon, but then being worried that if I use it, I'm not gonna have it sometime later if I need it.
Exactly. And one of the other things too is there are some elemental weapons in the game, so this is kind of an offshoot, like, to go along with that argument, but there are some elemental weapons in the game, and then there are some enemies that are weak to those elements. So if you have an ice rod, I can't remember what I think it's a blizzard rod is what it's called. And the blizzard rod, you just swing it and it shoots out like a wave of cold in front of you, and it freezes all enemies in front of you. It's super powerful. Which
is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, but just make sure you don't hit anything with it for real, because it will break it. Like almost instantly. So like you have to be really careful with it. And they're kind of hard to find. Like I think there's only like 4 places in the entire map that you can find one. So they're extremely rare. So when it comes to weapon durability, I felt like the weapons in Breath of the Wild broke too quickly, broke too often. And so getting back on track here, point I was making is, you know, at least in RPGs, when you have a mechanic that, you know, causes players to have anxiety or stress about running out of something that they might need later, usually you have an infinite inventory of some sort. Like you just have a slot for that consumable item, but you can carry like a very large amount of them. That is not something that you can do in Breath of the Wild. That you have a limited inventory slots, and the only way to get more is to collect enough Korok seeds to go turn them in and then get another slot. But you also have to choose between a weapon, a bow, and a shield slot. So there, you know, you can only add one, and then there is a finite number of upgrades that you can do.
I would totally agree with you on that. I think if they're gonna limit you on inventory slots like that, they definitely shouldn't make you choose between, you know, like sword, bow, and shield, whatever. I don't like that system either.
So I didn't like that in Breath of the Wild. That was my biggest complaint about the weapon durability system. So with that said, going into Tears of the Kingdom, that weapon durability is still here. It's in Tears of the Kingdom as well. And we've only seen one weapon actually break in any of the media. It was just a stick. I think it lasts 4 hits, which I think is the exact same that it does in Breath of the Wild. But the other thing that we did see is the weapon usability. So now you can combine multiple things into a weapon. You can also attach things to your shield. You can put things on your arrows. But one thing that I noticed when he used the fuse ability with a stick, because he hit one of the enemies, I think it was the Zonai construct, with the stick, and it broke. And then he picked up a different one and he hit the construct 2 more times, and he got the prompt on the screen saying, hey, your weapon is about to break, its durability is low. And then he went and fused it with a rock, and it seemed to either reset or like eliminate the durability factor. He no longer had that prompt on his screen saying that his weapon was about to break. Going into Tears of the Kingdom, if you can have weapons, and we haven't seen the inventory system yet, so I don't know if they have like a similar or the same amount of inventory slots. But if you can kind of like reset the point at which your weapon's durability is currently at by fusing it with something else, for me, that kind of like almost eliminates that anxiety inducing state entirely. Because like if I have a really good weapon and it's about to break, and then I can just go fuse it with something else, which then makes the weapon even better, hopefully, then now I just like doubled the lifespan of this weapon, and I'm not going to be too concerned about losing it.
A little off topic from weapons and stuff here, but this game is the one where Ganon is like actually returning. Right?
Yes.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Here, let's switch topics here, and we'll talk about Ganon.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I feel like just based on that, there's gonna be some kind of like reforging of the Master Sword, right?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked this question, because there is a theory, like how you could explain from a lore perspective why the Master Sword sucked in Breath of the Wild. Okay, and so their theory is that the Master Sword is actually losing its power. So if you go back to Skyward Sword, the very first Zelda game, chronologically speaking,
okay,
your entire journey as Link through the game is chasing after Zelda after she was kind of kidnapped. Like there was like an attempted kidnapping on her, and it failed, and then Impa showed up and like prevented her from being kidnapped, but then kept her anyways herself. So the entire game you're chasing after Zelda, trying to catch up to her and rescue her, quote unquote. And then you finally do catch up to her, and she's like, sorry, I gotta bounce, and then she goes 1,000 years in the past, and then that's when you find out that you can't actually help her until you power up your sword that you have. And then you go on, the second half of the game is your journey of powering up and cleansing this sacred blade that you have, and then eventually it becomes the fully fledged Master Sword. Now, between every single Zelda game, there is an unknown amount of time. At minimum, it's thousands of years. Breath of the Wild, we know, takes place at least 10,000 years after any previous Zelda game. Let's just throw a number out there, and let's just say 15,000 years take place between every single Zelda game that is not a known sequel. Okay? That would put us at about somewhere around 150 to 200,000 years between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom. So part of the whole thing about the Master Sword is that it was specifically created to help kill / seal away the Demise, who is a demigod. He is like the god of destruction in the Hyrulean kind of like universe, or the Zelda universe. So there's the three goddesses, Din, Furore, Nayru, and then they have like a sub goddess, like she's like a demigod, and her name is Hylia. Okay, and that's what Hyrule is named after. So Hylia is supposed to be like the caretaker of this realm, right, where all of these people live. And Demise is kind of like her arch nemesis, and so they were fighting each other. Anyways, so
Gotcha.
150 to 200,000 years between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, and now we'll get to the point that I started talking about 6 minutes ago, is the theory is that the Master Sword is losing its power, and it can no longer fight evil the way that it could when it was originally crafted. In some of the cutscenes of Breath of the Wild, it's like they used the sacred blade to help seal it away, meaning Ganon or Calamity Ganon. It doesn't say anything about destroying it, which is what it used to be able to do. You could legitimately kill Ganon before. Now, he would always resurrect because of the eternal curse placed upon Link and Zelda by Demise at the end of Skyward Sword, but that's reincarnation versus sealing away are two very different things. And so Breath of the Wild, it talks about only being able to seal it away rather than actually defeating it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so now we see here in Tears of the Kingdom that all of the artwork shows the Master Sword to be partially destroyed, which I think lends credence to that theory that the Master Sword is losing its power, because if it can be corrupted so bad and get partially destroyed by whatever power Ganon in Tears of the Kingdom has, then yeah, I think there's a very good possibility that we might have a situation where we need to reforge the Master Sword, like you were suggesting. I think that would be cool. I haven't seen anything in any of the Tears of the Kingdom promotional materials, though, to suggest that, unfortunately. I think that would
That's fair.
I think that would be fun. especially, you know, given that Skyward Sword is the first game. These are the two furthest apart games. Skyward Sword's at the beginning of the timeline, and Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom is at the end of the timeline. So it'd be kind of cool to have like this kind of like, you know, this reversal of things or renewal of, you know, the Master Sword and its capabilities and kind of, you know, whatever, but we'll see.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. And I mean, like looking on here right on screen right now, we've got the Ultra Hand ability, which allows you to kind of craft things. And we saw that with the Fuse ability as well, where you can merge weapons. So it would kind of fit with the theme so far of like the abilities that we've seen in the game, which is creating things or making things new. And if you could, you know, bring that over to the Master Sword as well, that'd be kind of neat. So speaking of Ganon, this dude is an absolute beast. All right. Like, I've seen so many memes on like Zelda subreddits the last couple weeks since this trailer came out, like comparing him to Demise actually from Skyward Sword. Because in Skyward Sword, I mean, that's a demigod. That's not Ganon. Okay, to be fair. But Demise in Skyward Sword, he's jacked. All right, like that guy is scary, and his fight is so good too. I hate it. I suck at his fight, at his boss fight. but his final boss fight actually like is really good. If you actually get to have a relationship and hook up with waifus, the game will be the best game ever. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see Link and Zelda actually have a relationship at some point. We kind of got that in Skyward Sword. Honestly, that's probably the closest we've ever been, is Skyward Sword. Because Link and Zelda definitely like were flirting with each other at the beginning of the game, but then they both had to grow up emotionally and you know, psychologically really fast once things kicked off. And then we don't really know, you know, like how that changed the relationship at the end of the game. But I would really like to see Link and Zelda actually like become a thing at some point. And honestly, I could see that happening in Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom. Also, we're coming up here on the one thing that figure that I was talking about. So that figure that we saw earlier with the 7 tiers around it, here he is. So he is wearing Zonai imagery, but who cares about Zelda? You want to rail Imp. Oh my gosh. Imp is like 100 and something in this game. My guess is this is the guy that we see in that previous image. He's got the tassels on his cloak. He's wearing Zonai imagery, and that was definitely like a Zonai carving, like stone carving that we were seeing. And Zonai are very interesting, like tribe of people. We don't know a whole lot about them. I kind of explained this to you a couple streams ago, Fear, but the Zonai, quote unquote, went extinct. Or so we thought, because here they are, but like they went extinct like 10,000 years ago in this version of this Zelda universe, and now they suddenly show back up again. You know, so like where did they come from? Where did they go? Where'd you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? But yeah, but yeah, so this is him in that imagery. I don't really know what's going on there, but we have the Zonai constructs here. All of these things, I think Nintendo confirmed that all of the Sky Islands are from the Zonai. So they've just been like living in the sky for who knows how long. I'm really looking forward to all of this like super secret stuff that they came from the underground world you have seen. I don't think so, because the Sky Islands are theirs. And Nintendo, if you go to like the Tears of the Kingdom webpage, like on Nintendo's website, where it gives you descriptions of the game coming out, it says that the Sky Islands like descend from above the clouds, like they were too high for you to see them, and so they come from up above. And all of the Zonai, or sorry, all of the Sky Islands are like belong to the Zonai. So I don't think they come from underground, but DMCA stuff. So and this is where I think Nintendo inadvertently does the right thing by being douchebags. So Nintendo is well known for being douchebags when it comes to DMCA stuff. But I think it goes to their benefit without them even realizing it, that because they are so tight-lipped about all of their stuff, like they will People are so nervous about releasing things from Nintendo too early that they like never do it because Nintendo will sue you. Because of that, when was the last time you heard of a leak from a Nintendo game?
I mean, yeah, that just like doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Also, Nintendo's marketing for like all of their stuff, it's very structured. It comes out at very specific points, and they nail it like all the time with their marketing. Metroid game that recently came out, that was shadow dropped. They literally just like, hey, by the way, we remade this game, remastered. It's on sale now. You can go get it. Literally outsold everything for the next month. All platforms, #1 game in the world for a month. And it didn't get leaked. Nobody knew. Not a single person knew that that game was coming out. So I think inadvertently, because Nintendo is just so anal about their marketing and who's allowed to know what and how often they sue people for, you know, releasing things that they shouldn't, that they create an environment unintentionally where there is so much hype and mystery surrounding their games because they are so tight-lipped about those things that it does more. They could not spend an equal amount, or they could not spend any amount of money to get an equal amount of mystery and hype around their games. And I don't think that they realize that that's like a side effect of just them being dicks. But yeah, what were you gonna say about music here?
It wasn't about music. I was just going to say, I think the biggest like topic we haven't really hit yet, and maybe you're saving this one for a little later on, I don't know, but it's just like things you hope are in the game or things you really want to see in the game, stuff like that.
Yeah. I've talked about this before, but so I'm kind of repeating myself, but I haven't said it yet on this particular stream, so that's fine. But I want to see civilization progress, or like civilized progress, and more life in the world. So I feel like it fit very well with the theme of Breath of the Wild. Hyrule has been under siege for 100 years. People have gathered together in isolated areas. They're far apart. You very rarely come across NPCs out in the wild. It makes sense. It's dangerous outside of the towns. Nobody wants to be out there. And there's very few people who live in the world. Now that Calamity Ganon has been, you know, destroyed or whatever, and it's been several years since the end of Breath of the Wild, I really want to see more people out in the wild doing their thing, you know, out in the countryside doing whatever. Also, here, just a quick note before we get too far. This right here, this looks like something that would be part of a dungeon. All right, we got this weird centipede thing coming out of the ground, so this definitely looks like a boss fight of some sort. We also have Tiba, the Rito champion, up here flying with us, so that's cool. We already do have some evidence that there's either a completely new village or additions have been made to an existing village. But I want to see more people. I want to see life coming back to Hyrule in the years since Calamity Ganon has been defeated. I want to see that progress by the people, you know, coming back and retaking the land again. I think that's kind of my biggest thing. Is I don't want it to feel so empty anymore. Breath of the Wild, like I said, it fit. It made sense. It was part of the game. It was understandable why you didn't see a whole lot of people. Link went around and did 72 side quests to save a bunch of people. There better be more people around. All right. Also, I want to know how many like returning NPCs we're actually going to see. We already know Beetle is back. We see him in the gameplay demo that E.G. Ionuma is about to play right here on the screen. Yeah, you would love to see actual cities. I agree. I don't know how much of that we would actually see though, Lilo, because it's only been about 3 years since the end of Breath of the Wild. So how much could they realistically build in that amount of time? I'm not sure. But we do see the one village, the Mushroom Village. That's just what I call it. We're gonna see Beetle here in about, I don't know, 15 seconds. But so he's back. The horse stables are back, which makes sense. We are riding a horse, so we need a place to keep them. There's a horse stable right here that we're coming up on. We know at least 2 out of the 4 champions have returned. Tiba, one of the champions, like I said earlier, he was a child in Breath of the Wild, and now he's still a child, but he's not as much of a child. Right there, here's Beetle. This is him right here. You can tell by his backpack. Link built a city in a week. But Link didn't build the city, all right? He just brought the excessive amounts of wood. Also, Yiga Clan, I want to see what happens with the Yiga Clan. They worship Ganon. They believe him to be in the right, all right? Empire did nothing wrong kind of thing. And I want to see what they're going to do now that Ganon actually legitimately has returned. Are they gonna like branch out and start like fights with, you know, the regular Hyrulean populace? I don't know. Are they gonna expand their hideout? Are they going to make it bigger? Are they going to have multiple hideouts? Are they not gonna have hideouts at all and just be out in the open because they're like, well, Ganon's back, we don't have to hide anymore? I don't know. But that would be cool. Man,
you know what would be cool for like map design?
What?
Like now that Ganon's actually back, just like as he grows in power, like certain areas of the map like fall under his control, almost like Far Cry style maybe.
Oh.
Where there's more enemies and you have to like go do a quest in that region or something to like free it from his control.
That would be cool. I would like that. I'd be down for that. It might mess with the gameplay loop a little bit because it's kind of like part of the whole thing is the enemies constantly respawn and stuff. But
yeah, that's true.
I do like the concept. That would be kind of sick. And then that's also like how you go after the tiers. That's how you collect the tiers. And once you have the tier, like it's no longer under Ganon's control. And that's why then there's less monsters that spawn. That would make sense. All right, that's the end of my list of topics. Unless you got something
I have
else.
A question.
Okay.
What is the deal? And maybe this happened in Breath of the Wild and it was one of the things I just missed. What is up with the big dragon, like flying around in the background of the sky in a bunch of these trailers?
Oh, okay. There's 2 that I'm thinking of. Let's go to this one here. This is the gameplay demo. And if we go to, so here's Recall. This is the back in time thing that you were talking about just a little bit ago. All right, so there's 2 dragons that are shown in the official media. So the first one is right here. This is one of the dragons from Breath of the Wild. All right, so there's 3 dragons in Breath of the Wild. They literally do nothing. They just float around, and you can. Yeah, it's very sad, honestly. Like you can't do anything with them. There actually is a side quest that is tied to one of them. It is required for the memory side quest to like recall all of your lost memories with Zelda. You do have to do that one. So in Breath of the Wild though, they just float around. They actually drop crafting materials and when you shoot them with a bow and arrow. And they are required for some of the armor upgrades. So they do have a purpose. And they're super cool because they have an infinite air draft that follows them around. So you can just like jump up. You can jump on top of them from above and just pull out your paraglider and you can just sail along with them the entire way. It's super cool. So that's one of the dragons. The other one I think is in official trailer number 3. And is it the 3-headed one that you're thinking of?
Oh, yeah, that was a separate thing I was going to ask you about, but yeah, that thing's also super cool.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it here in the trailer.
It's like coming at you with its 3 heads like a freaking Hydra.
Yeah. Come on. Where's it at? Is this it? Yeah, there it is. So this, I can't remember the name of it right now, but this is actually based off of a boss from The Legend of Zelda 2. So the second...
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the second Zelda game ever, there is a 3-headed Hydra thing as one of the dungeon bosses. And they brought it back for this game. There's another...
No way.
Yeah, there's another angle. I don't know which trailer it's in, but there's another angle showing Hyrule Bridge, which is also in Breath of the Wild. It's the biggest, longest structure in the game other than Hyrule Castle. It spans the entirety of Lake Hylia, and that's how you get to the other side. This three-headed dragon thing is sitting in the middle of the bridge for Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
So it's like a troll dragon, or like a toll dragon. A toll dragon. Like I said, I can't remember what this thing's name is, and it might not have the same name. It might have a different name in this game, but that's what it's based off of. So that's kind of cool. Friday, May 12th, game launches. We will be playing it here live on stream on Twitch. Click the links down below. Follow me there and get notified when I go live. 6:30 p.m. Central Time, Friday, May 12th. We're starting. And there's a really good chance that I might stream extra long on Saturday and Sunday too.
Yeah.
So
love to hear that.
Yeah. Normally I only do 3 hours, but we'll see how it goes. So, all right. Well, thanks, Fehr. Fehr will be there. Come hang out with him in the chat on the day I go live. We'll see y'all then. But hey, have a fantastic week, everybody. I'll see y'all next weekend. See you later, Fehr. Have a good one, everybody. Hey, Mythic here. If you'd like to see the full 3-hour podcast, make sure you click the subscribe button and click on the link in the description down below to follow me on Twitch. I'm live every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I also upload all of my streams to YouTube in case you miss anything. If you'd like to see more Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom content, make sure you follow me on Twitch. I'll be streaming live tonight, Friday, May 12th, in a suit, because it's a special occasion, starting at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And again, I also stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I'll be streaming all through the weekend. Hope to see you tonight, but if I don't, that's fine. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Mythic out.